Today, instead of looking at the outside of a building, we're going to take a look at drawing a corner interior. Yeah, we're going to break this down to its most simplest form. I think you're going to like it. Okay, so first thing, let's talk about usually when I discuss drawing a building, I always say look for the corner of the building that's closest to you. So, for example, let's just say put a line on your page like this. All right, that's easy. And then put another line maybe right over there. And then put this one a little bit further out. You see that? You see how it's further in one direction there? And then just randomly connect the top like this, and then do the same on the bottom. Okay, so this would be the context. If we were drawing a building, we would look for the corner that is nearest to us, and then start to build out from there. If you wanted to put a roof on this easily, you just put a X on one side here. This tells you where the center is. You go up with the center. And this is random. You decide the pitch, but then the other side is going to be a mirror of that, you see. And then we take this down here, and we want that to go toward the same vanishing point, just like that. All right. Take that front end there and match it. Voila. Look at that. Instant building. When I talk about buildings, that's the way we approach it, okay? Always look for that corner that's closest to you. All right, now reverse this. Now, if it's an interior, what I like to do is try and find that corner, a corner that I'm looking at. Go ahead and draw another line over here and another line over here. These can be any size. Let's go ahead and just put a little dot there and a little dot, okay? Okay, we could come out like this. You're going to come out like this. Over here, we'll come out like this. Just make sure these are fanning out. Okay, so that right there, that will become the corner of the way to look at a corner of the room. And you could find the center as well if you went like this. Okay, there's the center of that corner, right, of that wall right there. All you have to do is guess where the center is of that corner right there, and now just connect those two. Look over here on the right hand side here. You could visually find the corner. We'll call this A and B. You could just kind of visually guess where the center point of A and B are. That might be a little bit high. And then connect those two. Let's keep going with this little exercise here before we jump into our picture. Find the halfway point. Find the halfway point. Do the same below. Halfway point. Halfway point. And what we're doing is we end up building this excellent perspective grid. Halfway point over here. Halfway point. So that's how we're going to approach today's drawing, just like this. Exactly like drawing a house, but we're just going to reverse it, okay? So let's get on that. Let's do that. Don't be scared. This is going to be quite easy once we get it down, all right? So let's go ahead, and I don't want you to all right. Go ahead and draw a frame This is going to be like the size of your picture here. Look at this. Look at this line right there in the corner. That's like the corner of the room. Wow, look at that. That is almost exactly half. Look at this. The distance from one side to the other, that's almost half. But let's not do that. Let's shift it over so our picture will not be so perfectly centered. So I'm going to just put a line right down over here, something like this. See this? See this point right there? See this? See where that ceiling comes in line with the edge there? Okay, so let's just kind of put that in. We're gonna come in right about there, I would say, and then just put a little dot right about there. Okay. Put a little dot over here. This is going to be the other side. Okay. All right, so there's one angle. There's our other angle. All right, let's come down, maybe right about there. All right, check this out. This is where that wall comes in contact with the right over there, with the edge there. And how about over here? It comes in contact right about there. All right. So let's get that in. So we're going to be right about there. Okay. And then this over here, it's going to be right about there maybe. Okay, so that there, we've just established our corner. Let's go ahead and make a grid out of this. All right, so here's the one thing that you have to be aware of. When you're going to draw your grid, the bottom has to touch both lines. So for example, even though this is right here at this point, even though this is outside the picture, I'm just going to drop a line down here. This is going to help me create my grid on the right side. That line has got to touch both of the angles, okay? Same thing on the other side. So you might have to draw slightly outside of your picture. You might have to draw slightly outside of your frame. I'm going to call the center A, all right? And this line over here will be B, all right? So in A, let's just kind of guess where the center is. And then jump over to B, and in B, try and estimate where the center is. That's the center of this and of this right there. Okay, lightly, just put a line, connect those. Let's do the same on the other side. There's C. Halfway with C, it's going to be right about there. Okay, let's break this down one more time. Back to A, halfway in A, halfway over here. Okay, coming down the center again, halfway, halfway. All right, I'm going to continue over on C, halfway, and then I'll pause for a minute and let you get caught up. Halfway. All right, there's our perspective grid of our corner. And yours should look something like that, similar. So let's build this. Let's start with this desk. And really all I'm going to do is when I think of this desk, I'm going to think of a cube. All right? That's what we're going to think of. And we're going to build this desk from the ground up. I find it's easier to, when you're going to put something in a space, it's easier to determine where it's coming in contact with the ground instead of just floating it someplace and then not knowing. I like to build up. Okay, so let's look out over here. I'm going to erase some of these lines, okay? All right, look at that. There's that leg right there. There's this leg, and then this one is hidden. We can't see it, but we're going to guess it's right about there. So that's what we want to establish. So first thing we need to do, first leg is we can guess about where it's at. So looking at my picture, I'm going to say that leg is right there. That's my dot. I'm gonna get the location of this leg, and so now look at this. Now this is all perspective grid. So the corner, this is going back to that's going back to the vanishing point. So I got to get this line to kind of head in that same direction, not parallel, but starting to converge. You see that? So right along this line here, now I can go ahead and put my other dot. All right, let's work on getting this one right there. All right. So starting with this guy. All right, we've got that. This is also going to go back to this vanishing point. So we're just gonna. All right, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to come out, I think, right there. Okay, let's get this last guy right. Let's get this last guy right here, okay? So we'll come over here to this dot. And this, we're going to create a line. Now this line has also got to go back to the vanishing point. And then I'm going to come over to this dot. And this is going to go to the other vanishing point. And where these cross is the far corner of my table. All right, let's go ahead and bring some straights. Let's go with a straight right there, and I don't know the height of these yet. I'm just gonna put some in straights, just like that. If I go too fast, someone's got to tell me to slow down. We're gonna call this little guy A, so you all know what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm gonna go to A first, and now this is random. I'm just gonna say, okay, I think my desk is gonna be this high right here. Okay. And let's walk now from that height to that point. Let's just use our vanishing point, our grid, and go around. So if I come forward, it's going to be something like this. Okay, and there's that. Those two are intersection right there. All right, here we go. We're going to go back in space a little bit. All right, that's where the other front end of that desk is going to be. And this corner is going to go back in space a little bit. And I don't know how far back it's going until I bring this corner to the vanishing point. So all right, and where they cross, that is going to be the top of my desk in the perspective of this room. So now you can just, this is when you've got the hardware in place. Now look, you don't really have to use you don't have to go into great measurement here. You could just quickly rough in this desk. Just sketch it in. Doesn't have to be perfect. These legs taper, so you can just add a little taper. This is just a casual drawing, all right? All right, let's put some things on top of this desk. Let's add this lamp here. All right, so let's look at the base. So it's going to be like a minor axis that's coming up off the top of that desk there, right? And when I say a minor axis, what I mean is when you draw your ovals, you want to use the minor axis. So what that means is, let's just say that line was your minor axis. When you go to draw an oval, you want to make sure that the oval is perfectly reflected on both sides of that. Well, it looks too hard. Well, when I get done, CG, just try it again, okay? Just repeat it. Watch it again and see how you do, all right? So this is our minor axis. Everything is hard the first time you try it. But that's how you learn. And you know, when you, let's get that lamp now. I'm going to do a little bit larger one for the shade. You always know, how I say, when something is hard, you know you're on the right path, because that means you're stretching your head, and you may not get it the first time. You may not get it the second time. It might even take you months before you get it. But I guarantee it, you will get it. And if you stick with this, stick with me, stick with what we're doing here each week, you'll get it. It'll all come with time, okay? So don't give up on me, CG. Okay, there's that. So we got that on there. Let's put this chair here. So let's come up with a parallel line like this. Another one over here. And then this is going to go back to the vanishing point this way, you see? And you could just add some thickness to this. And I don't good, I'm glad. I don't know how much of the I'm not really going to worry so much about the legs. I'm just going to kind of guesstimate where they might be on this I'm just going to guess where there might be, okay, for that chair there. Okay, let's jump up here and get these bookcases in, all right? Bookcases are pretty easy. Thank you. All right, so let's just draw a line just like that. Okay, this is going to go back to that vanishing point. And this one is going to go back as well. I'm just going to put one bookcase in here for the sake of time, all right? Halfway point. All right. So look closely at these books over here on the right hand side. Look how you see how that is that they are, because they're tucked back in. Let's match that idea. So all we're going to do is come in like this, and then we're going to do that. You see? Same thing down below. Just like that. And one more maybe. Okay, from this corner here, let me just, this corner right there. This corner, you're going to follow, you see these are going back to the vanishing point. Well, this also is going to go back to the vanishing point. And then this is going to make it all dark up here. Same thing with the next corner. This also is going to go back to the vanishing point, so we can make it dark up here as well. And then this guy also is. So let's see here. He's coming at a little slightly different angle. No rulers. And we don't even know where these vanishing points are. We're just purely kind of guessing. But we can make a good guess. This allows you to draw much faster. Okay, let's get this framed portrait in. So let's put one side of that portrait on this wall over here. This will be the top corner of the frame. This is going to be the bottom corner. All right, so this is going to go back to that vanishing point. We got that, great. Same thing here. We're just going to follow our grid. And then I'm randomly going to choose how wide I want this. And this is going to just be a straight up and down vertical. I'm going to go ahead and use my eraser here to erase the edges. And we are almost done in just a second. I'm going to erase the inside as well. Okay. Let's find the center of this frame, this picture. There's my center. That's helpful. All right, I'm just going to add some lines so it looks almost like wood. Some vertical lines here. This is just a sketch. You can get away with a lot with it. Okay. Here is our picture, right? So let's see. This looks like a little kid here. So let's just remember the head is pretty small, so I'm just going to give some indication where the eyes might go, and I'm just kind of scribbling an idea here. This doesn't have to be the little kid. It can be any commander, right? Just some random little chicken scratches. That's all I threw up there. Okay, last thing I want to do, and then we'll be done. All right, last thing we're going to do here. Now, so a lot of this, what we just drew, is in the, I call this the middle ground. Well, let's make this picture interesting really quick. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right over here, and I'm just going to draw almost like a silhouette of a chair that's super close to us. And I'm just going to fill that in with dark color. And then on this side over here, to make it interesting, something in the foreground here, I'm going to just kind of put in an end table like this. And I want these to be really dark. This is going to be like this maybe. And maybe on top of it, there's like this plants. Okay, there we go. So now we have this little bit more interest to this room here, in that we've added this plant and armchair that is that's closest to us. And these could have been anything really, but it just makes for an interesting drawing, in that we are looking beyond these things at whatever is going down here. What if there's a secret document on the table there with, it's a letter written to an old lover of a secret will. If you come near this house, it will be the end, right? Now all I'm doing is adding just a little bit of tone on that far side over there to help distinguish one side to the other. All right? Hey, that's what I got for you today. I hope that wasn't too difficult, but if it was, like I said, just come back, try it again, and you'll get it. This is how you learn, just by experiencing new things, especially things that you find to be hard. If you do have additional questions, please join our Facebook group. It's totally for free. Post your questions in there. You can direct it toward me, or even down here in the comments below, you can ask a question and I will try and answer it my best. My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws. All right. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay. Bye-bye.